Hey guys, this is Paul Blart's Garage. I'm just doing a update video on when I bought this truck, how much I actually gave for it, and things that's been done to the truck since I've had it, to kind of catch people up that may have not watched any of my videos. Which it's not like I'm a big YouTube celebrity or anything like that, but this is just a project truck, and I'm just kind of sharing this. So if somebody has an 88 through 94, which those trucks are kind of interchangeable, and they're like me, they're just not very knowledgeable on mechanic work, and it's kind of a trial and error. And if you're like me, I get on YouTube and watch 5 or 6, 7 or 8 videos on how to do something before I start it. Usually ones that I find that tells you what tools you need, and an easy way of doing it, just right down to the point. It's kind of like I am. I'm not going to play any fancy music. I'm not going to play any fancy burnout or something like that to bring somebody in, because I'm not doing this for money. I'm just doing it to look back on when this is completed, to see what all I went through while doing this. But anyway, I was looking for one of these step sides. My father and I, before he passed away, I bought a 74 and had it about almost 100% redone. And he passed away, and it was a 383 stroker. Rear end, everything was built, transmission was built, and a lot of things were built by R&R Machine Shop in Huntsville, Alabama. And we got it all together and played with it for a while, and then he had a massive heart attack, passed away. But it was kind of a project he started to kind of, for me and him to have something that we could do together that would bring us closer. But anyway, I bought this old truck when I was 18 years old. When this truck came out, this is the 88 GMC Sierra. My uncle bought one new. And ever since I saw that truck, I wanted one. And I've always had this truck in the back of my mind. Just me personally, I like to see Pro Stars on it, tubbed out in the back with a fuel cell in the back, and setting as low as I can get it, and still have, still for it to be able to drive without beating you to death. And the windows darked out with a cow hood, and a billet grill and some other stuff, and a 383 stroker if I'm lucky. Or maybe in a big block 454. I've always wanted a big block in one of these trucks. But anyway, long story short, I saw this on Craigslist, and it was on Facebook, buy and sell and trade, in the Foley, Alabama area. This guy had it in there, sitting out in the field, and by itself, kind of like you see when you're driving down the road. It's sitting out there, and it was looking really, really good. The pictures were, the stance that it was showing, it was calling my name, and he was asking $900, I believe it was, and that particular day, that I saw where people were looking at it. There was a lot of views, and I thought, well, if I'm going to get it, I better jump on it. So I had to send my son out there, as I had something going that day. I trust his judgment. He went out and looked at it, and called me on the phone and says, well, the steering column's shot. It's going to need another steering column. And he says, I don't know what's going on with the engine, because the guy says either it's got blowed head gaskets or cracked heads, but it's a 350 turbo transmission according to what the guy's telling me. And he says the interior looks pretty rough, which he was right. Of course, you buy a seat cover from AutoZone or O'Reilly's or Advance for about $60. And the steering column, before I put this one in it, you can take and just jiggle it up and down like this. And I found one of these in Saraland, Alabama. A guy had for sale for $100. It was a mint. So I went ahead and bought it and stuck it in there. But it has the aftermarket CD player in it, and a temperature gauge, and of course it's the electric doors. I kind of didn't want them because they're aggravating to work on when they tear up, which is, you can see from the wedge that's going to need some work. The other one works, but the other door skin on the outside has got a dent. Of course, I need to replace this door handle. And when he replaced the door pins, because I thought maybe when I first saw that it had been hit, but I got up under it and looked. There's no damage whatsoever. But I see where he placed the door pins in this truck, and a lot of people, they kind of don't know what they're doing. They get aggravated and they don't fix it, and then when they go to open the door, it binds up on this, and you end up denting it, and that's kind of what he did. So I'm probably end up going to either trying to pull these off and getting these, working this out with a tool or something, or just buying a whole new one. You can get fenders and doors pretty cheap. But as you can see, it's a fiberglass bed. It's got this crack right here, which, I'll probably end up fiberglassing it. And on these corners here are pretty, on the other side is pretty bad. As you can see, that corner's going to have to be fixed. Not too crazy about the tail lights. But this side over here is really not that bad as far as the bed goes. It's pretty straight here. And also, I wondered why that plate was there. It seems that instead of lifting the bed up and tilting it sideways to get to the fuel pump, or the fuel pump in the gas tank, they cut a small hole. It's really not that big, and they put that huge plate on there, which I may end up cutting that plate down and making it actually fit the hole. But maybe they done that so water and stuff wouldn't build up and get in there. But anyway, you take that panel up and you're right there at the gas tank, which I'll end up doing something with that later. But over here, probably can't tell too well, but on the bottom down there it's kind of dented in, so I'll probably end up having to pull that panel off and see if I can't beat it out from the other side. Which, the dash is not all cracked up. It doesn't have the original speakers in it, which if I get the original speakers with the covers, that'd make it look good. But all in all, it's a pretty solid body. Other than a few things here and there, it's got the pace setter wheels on it, which needs to be cleaned. And used to be Pertito blue, and I don't know if those were brown or black rally stripes somebody put on it, but I may go back with Pertito blue with some black rally stripes or white. I ain't made my decision yet, but you have to forgive me on the lighting. The lighting's not that good for you to see here, and I don't know, I'm using my phone, and I don't know if there's a way that you can give it more light or not. But anyway, it had air conditioning on it, which I ended up taking it off because it was unplugged anyway, and putting that bypass pulley on there, and placing the water pump and starter, hoses, battery, distributor. It's got an Excel distributor in it, ProComp intake. It's got the crappy 1405 Edelbrock on it, which it's not the performance, it's the economic Edelbrock they make that I'm not too happy with. And it's got headers on it, mid-link headers, and but I replaced I actually bought 3 sets of heads for this thing before I ever found any that wasn't cracked. But if you're ever looking for Vortec heads and you don't know much about them, you need to make sure that you clean the bottoms off perfect. Get a scraper, take it with you, some gump or whatever, and clean that head off good, because they're going to cost you $150 to $200 a pop. And you buy them from some Joe Blow you're meeting in a parking lot, and you bring them home, and there's a gasket on the bottom, and you scrape that gasket off, and there's a crack under there. Well, that happened to me on these heads here. I actually threw one of them away, which I wish I'd have kept it instead of getting mad and throwing it away. But right here on this water jacket is usually where they'll crack. That hairline cracks right there, and it's going all the way to that porthole there. And they're excellent flowing heads, but because the casting is so thin, they'll crack in these holes here, and they'll get a hairline crack all the way down past the valve here and around the valves. So you really got to check these heads out with a fine-tooth comb, because if you don't, you'll end up getting a pair of heads and getting it home, putting it on, and then it'll leak, and you'll have a blow head gasket, and you'll have a burnt motor. But luckily, this one only set for a couple of months and still had the plugs and everything in it. And I basically dropped the pistons all the way down to the bottom of the bore and bored it halfway up. Well, line hone it halfway up, and they looked really good when I got done. And I've not had any blow by, and I did a compression check on it, and anywhere from some of them like from 150 to 155 and like 160. So I don't know how many miles is on this engine, but I know there's around 300,000 miles on the body of this truck, and that's not too bad. But I had the problem where the pulley off the end of the water pump came off here the other day. It's the first time, well, actually the third time I was going to drive it to the gas station, which is less than a mile down the road and back, and it popped off and destroyed my upper and bottom fan shroud, obliterating the pieces along with the clutch fan and the clutch. So I've decided just to wait and get me an electric fan. I found one at O'Reilly's for about $60 that covers 70% of the radiator that I'm going to put on here, and probably run a toggle switch for now, and then if it comes with a thermostat I'll end up doing that. And the only other thing I need to do, that's hopefully before the end of the year, is get rid of all the wires that came with the TBI engine. I've been kind of reluctant to cut them because I don't know if I thought about going back fuel injector or not, but if I do, it's going to be that EFI carburetor that you can get. That's you know, it's an EFI carburetor. I'll probably go with that. But getting rid of that stuff is just not my forte. Somebody just said, turn the truck on and start cutting wires until it shuts off, and then you know you got one you need. Well, you know, I kind of don't want to do that, but probably end up taking it to a shop and having it done, as I'm just not good with the wiring. But just about everything that you can do as far as the tune-up goes on this truck's been done. I flushed the radiator out and flushed the transmission out and everything out, and put new detent cable on it and a new governor and gasket and filter and all that stuff. But when things to look for when you're getting a vehicle, a used one, and you fall in love with the stance, you need to figure out if it's done right. On this one, it wasn't done right. It looks like they cut the springs in the front, which when you're driving, it doesn't drive that bad. It seems pretty stiff, but in the back, maybe I can get up in here and show you, which is going to be awkward, but you can see that they cut the springs on this thing, the leaf spring. It's only got one leaf spring actually holding. Well, you can't see. Well, you can hear, but see where they cut the leaf springs off right there, halfway off, and it's that way on the other side. And all they have is a drop shackle on it, which is right there. So it has a drop shackle and the leaf springs cut instead of putting a notch kit. And you can actually buy these brackets here. That I guess the reason why they didn't do that is because some of these are riveted on. Like that one actually has a bolt on it, the top one, but the rest of those are riveted. So I don't get that. But if those had been just bolts with nuts on them, they probably would have changed that out, bought that kit, and done that. But since you have to get something to get them rivets out to put the other brackets on, that's probably why they didn't do it. But anyway, I wish I could show you. Oh yeah. See the lighting through there? You can see the light that I have on above the truck. Well, that's where the leaf spring is hitting the bottom of the bed, and they actually cut the bed so that leaf spring would ride up and not ride on the bed and make noise or whatever, which I don't get that. But anyway, they just didn't do it right. I mean, you can get the kit that comes with you know, the notch kits. Probably what I'll end up doing with it, but that would have been one factor that I would have looked at and probably talked the guy down, which my son did pretty good. He went from 900 down to 500, and it's not a bad looking little truck. But it turns out the transmission is not a 350 turbo, it's a 700 R4, and it's got a 40 series Flowmaster single on it. It's got like a goes from a dual to one pipe, and then from that one pipe back to dual to the muffler out, and two dual like turn downs, I guess you could say, on it. But and it don't like much hitting the frame, as you can see, hitting the rear end there, that little thing there. But like I said, a notch kit is going to be in the works, and plus I'm going to put a roll pan on this thing once I get the fiberglass work done. And then of course the tailgate, you know, needs to be fixed, and they got Bondo here for whatever reason. I just bought another tailgate before I'd have worried about Bondoing that one up. But yeah, I think for $500, and I've probably put another $1,000 or $1,200 in it. It doesn't like much being driven. It needs an electric fan and a bolt right here on the end of this pulley here, water pump pulley. But once I replace that, put electric fan on it. I'll probably take it for a longer drive, so I'll make sure I don't overheat this thing. But I love the stance of this truck, the way it sits. If you're got it out in the yard and you're looking at it, the stance on it is just, I love it. But anyway, that's kind of a little bit of the progress on this truck. If you're working on an 88 through 94 and you love these step sides and this type truck, I'll be doing periodic videos of whenever I do something. I will do a video on it. My next project after the electric fan and replacing the bolt is probably sanding this thing down and painting it, which I'm going to make me a little paint booth in my shop. And I have an air compressor, and I'm just going to practice with it. I'm probably going to pull the hood off first and sand it down and practice with it and see how well I do. And if I do really well with that, then I'll probably attempt to do everything else, because there ain't a whole lot to pull off this thing to paint it. I mean, the tail lights, and you take these door handles up, pull this off, pull that out, take this off, take the front bumper off, and there's only 3 bolts holding this part here in, this grill in, I guess you could say, and it pops out. Then after that, it's just spraying it. There really ain't nothing else to cover up except for taping off the windows, and take me about a couple hours to get it ready to be painted. And wanted to paint it a color where all these dents and stuff, which I know they're probably going to show through the paint, but I may just end up priming it and just running it like that. But anyway, if you got any questions about the truck, or you're working on yours and you're stumped and really don't know what to do on something, which there's better YouTube videos out there than mine by far, but I'll be glad to talk to you on YouTube and answer any questions you may have about the truck, or any experience that I've had that you're looking at, because I've looked at this truck with a fine-tooth comb. I can just about tell you anything and everything there is to know about it. Plus, if you're looking for gear ratios and rear end and all that kind of information, if you look in your glove box, there's a tag in there you can actually look up stuff. And but anyway, if you have any questions, concerns, hit me up. If you like the video, like it. If you don't, you can put a thumbs up or thumbs down. It really doesn't matter to me. Hope this was entertaining at some, a little bit, and hopefully it helped you out a little bit. And anyway, enjoy your day. Peace out.